Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Talking About Birds, the only Cardinal podcast more likely to be disappointing than a Cardinal offseason. My name is Nate Heininger, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Ben Samorka.
This is going to be a good Cardinals offseason, Nate.
You know what? You've convinced me. I agree. And this week, we are going to be talking about some of the recent Cardinal news. We're going to continue to talk about our predictions and expectations for this offseason. And we're going to talk about some news and notes from around the league. If you have an idea for the opening joke, tweet us at Talk About Birds. Ben, we've got a lot to talk about. We always have too much to talk about.
Big show, Nate. Big show.
We got a big show. Let's go ahead and bring our guest in.
Yeah. Elon Musk.
There he is. All right.
We can
we
pull the stars. We still have the credibility in the industry to pull the big names.
Elon, what gives you the right? Oh, son of a diamond miner. Okay.
Son of a diamond miner.
Son of a diamond miner.
It does sound like an old-timey curse, but it's just real.
Blasted son of a diamond miner.
God.
Wow, we're off to a great start today.
Immediately, yeah.
But we have, despite it being the off season, we still have a fair amount of things to talk about. And before we do, though, I have an exciting conclusion to a saga that I don't think I've talked about on the show at all, but I'm going to...
I was going to say, did you steal somebody else's backpack and then blame somebody else on it?
What are you talking about?
A few weeks ago, you stole somebody's backpack and then you claimed to return it to them after you stole the laptop from them.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I've been going around and I steal stuff from people and then I hold it ransom and then I kill them.
Smart.
Get the money and the yayo. So there's for the last several months, so actually since we've lived where we live now, there's been this stray cat that has been sort of passing through our backyard, and really cute cat. And Molly and I are both big cat people. We have one cat, and Molly's also a big bird person. She's a giant bird. And so we have like a lot of bird feeders and stuff. And this cat was eating some of the birds, which, that's nature. That's what they do. You can't be mad at the cat.
That's how baseball go. Yeah.
That's how baseball go. So we thought, we'll start feeding the cat a little bit to maybe distract it from attacking the birds. And it was mildly successful, but of course we know, and everyone knows what happens when you start feeding like a stray cat, right? Yeah. That now they're just gonna
that's your cat. Yeah,
that's your cat now, right? Yeah. And which is cool, but is a very, very skittish cat.
Sure.
But seemingly very like gentle, but like just never, like anytime we'd come outside, it'd run away. But over the last few months, it's been getting slowly more more considerate of us being around, like more allowing of us being around, all the way up to the point where now we're petting this cat. Molly picks it up, holds it, and we decide, all right, we're getting this cat inside. St. Louis has terrible weather in the winter. It's obviously done an okay job surviving out in the elements, but it seems to want to come to our house. It's like hanging out, like literally laying against our back door.
Oh,
and like
you're the food haver, so that makes sense.
And we come outside and it runs from the woods. So I'm in the city. It runs from
the two trees in your backyard.
Yeah. It comes from the deeper part of our backyard to the door. It clearly like wants to be around us. It's a people person cat, if that makes sense.
People person cat. No, that doesn't make sense, but I know what you're trying to say.
I think it makes sense.
People person cat.
It's a bird person. And so the other night, it's sleeting here in St. Louis.
Don't miss that.
Yeah, so we're already onto that. And it's go time. And Ben, this cat is in this room with me right now. So it is.
Yay!
Yeah. It's still when you have multiple cats,
Yeah, you
you
got to
keep them
isolate. Yeah.
isolate.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's right behind the couch that's right next to me, and you'll probably hear it at some point
Yeah.
on the call because it is
Did you
loud. But
name it Nolan or
ooh,
Goldie?
ooh, both great options. So we're actually trying to figure out what we're gonna do with that because first of all, we don't know if it's a boy or a girl. We're going to take it to the vet shortly. We also
Yeah.
have to keep it isolated from other cat because we don't know if it's like fully healthy and there's
Disease ridden.
yeah. But seems very, very healthy.
Yeah.
You could just look at a cat and you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We all know this.
I can
And
smell it.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a little smelly in here right now. But we were calling it Tux because it's a tuxedo cat.
Oh,
Black and white, and it's got a nice little half mustache. It's
he's wearing a
adorable.
little suit.
Yeah, we were calling him Tux, but that was mostly just like identifier of the stray cat because
Sure.
there are other stray cats that come around, but none have like connected with us the way this one has. But we don't really like Tux as like a long term name for it. But we also don't know if it's a boy or a girl. So after the vet, um, we will make a determination. But it's adjusting really well so far. We think it's going to enjoy living with us. We're not trying to abduct a random cat and force it into our house. We really think it wanted to be here,
Yeah.
and so far so good. So if you hear some meowing in the episode, that's what it is. And yeah, so we have a new cat now.
Little baby Matt Carpenter.
Matt, we're calling it Matt Adams.
Oh,
Yeah.
chunker.
Actually, no, it's a pretty small cat, so
Okay.
we'll call it for call. Ooh, for call's kind of a good cat name.
That is.
It's got fur in
Raphael.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you have an idea for the cat name, tweet us at Talk About Birds.
Yeah.
All right. I just
That-
wanted to talk about that.
It's the most off-season way to start a podcast is
Yeah.
that right there.
We'll
Perfect.
talk about my cat. But we do have a fair amount of stuff to talk about,
And it sounds like this cat is interested in birds. So
well,
that's right in line with what we're talking here.
I was actually a little worried about it. If we start talking about birds too much, I might get a little hungry.
Get a little claw across your face. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna come and attack me.
Careful.
You got birds out there?
I wonder if she ate a cardinal. Probably.
Molly referred to birds as nature's sandwich while we were talking about this,
Wow.
and I don't. It's been stuck in my head now for like 3 hours.
That might be one of the most insane things I've ever heard in my life. But sure. The feathers, the bread. What does that
That's
even
what
mean?
I said. That's exactly what I said. Are the feathers the bread?
And in that case, it'd be more of like a burrito or a wrap or something.
It's
So
fully wrapped.
Yeah.
I cannot comprehend them.
Your wife has lost her mind.
Yeah, well, we both have been scratched by this cat at some point, so maybe we're deep in a fit of cat scratch fever, I suppose.
You're quite the Ted Nugent. All right.
No. All right, we're moving on.
Yeah.
Then the hot stove is lit.
Oh, the pilot light is on. The gas is
baby.
leaking out. We're not smelling it. The explosion is imminent.
Get out of the house.
Yeah, I think it's lit, right? It feels like things are happening. We even had a move right before Teoscar Hernandez got traded right before we started recording. Things are happening, which is exciting.
Yeah, there's usually the like burst of activity right after the season ends with all your various qualifying offers, contract extensions, options picked up or not. Some early moves, some things that were clearly being worked on through the end of the season being able to be pushed through. And we're seeing a lot of that right now, including with the Cardinals. The Rule 5 draft is coming up, so they have to protect some players, which we'll talk about, and teams across the league are doing that. And then, we'll get into the dark times, which is usually December and January. Things tend to really calm down before picking up again for the season. Still plenty to talk about. So how do you want to do this? You want to jump in with some of the recent some of the recent news?
Yeah. I think we'll just stick to the Cards news to start off the app, and then we can kind of work our way through. But, we talked a little bit about Connor Thomas, the undersized righty who had a great AFL. He was named the AFL Pitcher of the Year, 1.75 ERA over 6 games. And that resulted. I mean, he kind of had a middling year in AAA. It was fine. It wasn't great, but obviously the Cardinals saw something, and they wanted him to go against that high level of competition and extend his season in the AFL, the Arizona Fall League, and looked fantastic. And that led to him being that was like it was almost like a 1-to-1. He won the AFL Pitcher of the Year, and then got put on the Cardinals 40 man to be protected from the Rule 5 draft, which is interesting. I mean, obviously, like I'd love to hear the Cardinals speak a little bit more about why he was the one chosen, because I would think like Matthew Liberatore would make a lot of sense to be in the AFL. Like he's a guy that's been looking for success all year, and maybe against high level, high end young talent would make sense. But it's curious to see how that all kind of played out. Obviously, you'd have to imagine this is exactly what the Cardinals were hoping for, or maybe even beyond what they were hoping for.
Yeah, I think the AFL, this isn't the rule, but for the most part, they're looking for people who have not yet played in the majors, and it's uncertain about what their level of progression is. Like, are they ready for the majors right now, or do
Right.
they need more time? And so Connor Thomas, I guess, fits that bill. I wouldn't have necessarily thought of him as fitting that bill, but obviously the Cardinals did. And then after that, it's sort of self-fulfilling because he did so well before the AFL. He might not have been a target from other teams for the Rule 5 draft. But because he did so well, he now is would absolutely be a target, and so they had to add him into the 40
Yeah.
man in order to protect him from that draft. So it's kind of it's like a little self-fulfilling cycle there that I wonder if he'd be on the 40 man right now if it wasn't for the AFL. But yeah, obviously, best case scenario, you're not sending guys there hoping that they'll struggle and not become targets of the
Right.
Rule 5. So it definitely, now he's on the 40 man, so that is obviously a fast track to getting into the majors. It doesn't always mean that. There's plenty of guys on the fringes of the 40 man who never make it into the majors, but with pitching, there's often such a revolving door, especially like in the back half of the bullpen, and we've seen it with the Cardinals for years now, just throwing guys out there. You have to imagine that unless a lot of things come together for a lot of other guys, or he really struggles out of the gates next year, like Connor Thomas will likely be in the majors next year at some point in
Yeah.
some capacity.
Yeah, and to quickly correct myself, I think I said he was a right-handed pitcher. He's a left-handed pitcher. And just kind of looking over like why this is kind of a crazy story. I mean, not crazy. It's a short sample size, and he made some corrections, and he's kind of like a ground ball, low contact or weak contact hitter. He threw 135 innings in AAA this year. That's 25 starts. Had just under or just over 7 Ks per nine and 5.47 ERA. So I don't know. Is saying he came out of nowhere, is that hyperbole, or like it's kind of reading those numbers out loud now? I'm kind of thinking he did kind of come out of nowhere, but obviously the Cardinals were digging what he was doing enough to want to see more of it in a different situation. So yeah, I think you're probably right. Like he's a lefty, he gets ground balls. Maybe he'll be in the bullpen, maybe he'll spot start, but I think him getting major league time makes sense. He'll be 25 at some point next year. So yeah, it's good news.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he was a fifth round pick in 2019, which isn't incredibly high, but it's not low either. You still get a lot of really great players out of that level. And he's been progressing through the minors as you would kind of expect someone like this. And that left-handed pitch to contact guy is so valuable in the majors, and it's exactly what the Cardinals are always looking for, is these pitch to contact guys. So seems like it's worthwhile to have him. And hopefully it's one of those things where it's like, you kind of hope you don't need him next year, because ideally we have like
Yeah.
8 guys that we can name right away that should be better than him, but it's good to You can never have too much pitching.
Yeah, yeah. If Connor Thomas is a big part of the next of 2023, then the shit has hit the fan, somewhere around the Cardinals, and it is that. Yeah, that's bad.
We love those mid 7 K9 guys, though.
Yeah,
Apparently, it's the whole.
Wayne Wrightian K rate there. Yeah, but low walk rate. Weak contact. Cardinals
Yeah,
have a good defense. They've been targeting, although I think we did spend a section of last episode complaining about how the Cardinals need to get some strikeouts from their
yeah,
pitching staff. So, but that doesn't really matter. We'll celebrate the win. Good for Connor Thomas. He
yeah,
got to have a little interview on MLB.com. Look at that. He's making it.
yeah. And I mean, right alongside, he got almost as much, or if not more, really, like maybe relative to expectations, press than Jordan Walker, who
Yeah,
definitely got a lot of love and a lot of press during this AFL.
sure did.
But yeah, it's fun.
Wait,
What else?
let's really,
Yeah.
since you brought up Jordan Walker, I just something a little note that I had written down here that I thought was kind of fun was in the last week since we last recorded, Katie Wu and Derek Gould, I think two of our favorite Cardinals beat writers, I guess to surmise what they're trying to say is they're both super bullish on the idea of Jordan Walker being in the big leagues next year, which I know we've kind of chatted about, and I think our expectations are sliding in that direction more and more. I think generally, we've seen the Cardinals be, I wouldn't even say aggressive. I think that they are one of the few teams that are pretty good at kind of looking at how the player is playing, seeing where their needs are, and putting the guy there. They're not I don't think that we could really accuse the Cardinals of messing with service time management. I'm sure there's one or two cases that I'm missing, but really, for the most part, the guy's ready. The guy's ready. And what Wu and Gould were saying in not so many words were, as long as he has a strong spring training, there's no reason he won't be starting in right field next year, or wherever that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some center field, depending on how Dylan Carlson comes along. Tyler O'Neill's health is obviously questionable, but they're talking about it. The Cardinals seem, obviously there are very direct line. Wu and Gould know the front office. I guess is what I was trying to say there.
Sure.
And I don't know. I think that's super exciting. We talked a while ago about how he's going to be the number one prospect in baseball for 5 seconds because he's going to be in the big leagues so quickly after he gets that number one prospect. So I don't know. That's something I'm feeling really excited about today.
Yeah, same. And I think that, yeah, there's absolutely um, a high likelihood, and I would call it like the most likely thing, is that there will be a time next year where he's considered the top prospect in baseball.
Yeah.
The other people that are up there alongside him, people like Gunnar Henderson, Corbin Carroll, guys like those, they have all been called up already, so they'll lose that prospect status pretty quickly.
Right.
And there's a few guys that are in the mix. But Jordan Walker's right there, and you don't normally spend very much time as the top prospect in baseball before you get called up.
Yeah.
And there's a spot for him. I mean, there's a lot of competition for that spot, but none with the pedigree that he has. And that jump from Double A to MLB is actually not that uncommon for these sorts of like uber
Freaks. Yeah.
prospects. Yeah, and yeah, like we haven't really seen the Cardinals mess with service time, but also they haven't really had many opportunities to mess with service time in the same way that we've seen some of the teams do over the last few years. So I don't know that we truly know if they would completely buck that trend and not mess with people's service time. But now we're also under the new world where like winning the rookie of the year has some value for the org. And like I don't know, I do agree with you, like it seems unlikely that the Cardinals will play tricks with Walker.
Yeah.
So
He
like
just he also you call this whatever you want. I guess it's narrative-y, non-baseball-y number type things, but in the way that Julio Rodriguez has the it factor, the star makeup or whatever, the
mhm,
more I watch Jordan Walker play, the more I watch him speak, interact with the media, interact with his teammates, the more I'm like, this is just the guy. You want to make this guy happy. You want to let him play in St. Louis. You want to extend him. You want kids to be wearing Walker jerseys for the foreseeable future. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to get too overhyped, and I know everything I just said is like where I'm, that's definitely overhyping somebody, but
I mean, I think it's pretty much locked in that he's a future Hall of Famer. Let's just go ahead and say it. No, I know what you mean.
he
Yeah,
just got
absolutely.
it. He's
Yeah,
got it, and I want to watch it, and I want him to be a Cardinal for a long time already. Like he just kind of oozes all of
yeah,
that.
yeah, absolutely. I hope that I want the Cardinals to pull an Atlanta Braves with Jordan Walker. He comes
Yes.
up, has a good month, and we sign him to a 10-year deal
Boom.
for $75 million.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I think he will be playing for the Cardinals in April. Now, whether
Yeah.
that's like starting right field, opening day, I honestly think that's unlikely, but I think he'll be on the roster
Yeah.
in April. Um, so it's fun.
Very exciting.
Yeah. Well, speaking of rookies, we have a little bit of we now know how the voting went for the rookie of the year. It was pretty much as expected. Brendan Donovan came in a decisive third place.
Yeah.
Um, Notably, and of course, way below Spencer Strider and Michael Harris the second, which turns
Yeah.
out
Yeah. We have.
Donovan did not get any first or second place votes, but he got like by far the most third place votes,
Yeah.
which is exactly how it should have gone.
Yeah.
Like no, I would not have picked him over those two guys either. So
Yeah, I
um,
think like from the Cardinals' point of view, obviously like immensely valuable. He filled in so many holes throughout the year and ended up winning that Gold Glove and hit really well and more than anything got on base like a machine, almost 400% or 40% of the time. Um,
be
but
tight to get on base 400% of the
I know I was
time.
just trying to think of like what does that even look like? Like he's just you show up to the ballpark and he's on second.
He
Um,
gets on base and they put like he gets a walk and he gets to be on first, second, and third.
there you go. Yeah, that's 400. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he'd have to be scoring a run too for it to be
Oh
400%.
no, now we're doing clone runners. We got zombie runners, we got ghost runners, we got clone runners.
At least the clone runner moniker would make sense. The ghost runner
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. Um, But yeah, no, I think totally agreed. Like, not surprising at all. Spencer Strider is ridiculous. The only reason he didn't win is because he got hurt and missed some time. And Michael Harris basically changed the entire Braves season and kind
Yeah.
of led them, drove the offense to winning 100 plus games, and what was incredible. And more, I'm just annoyed by the fact that the Braves have locked up so much young talent, and then they just keep seeming to produce young, high level talent. But
Yeah.
that's
Strider came
what they're
out of
doing.
nowhere.
Yeah.
He was a mid-tier prospect going into last year, and then here we are. He had over 200 strikeouts in only 130 innings.
Did you know he hack squats 500 pounds?
Of course, I know that.
I just have a distinct memory of Brad Thompson bringing that up like 8 times during a broadcast.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Speaking of awards, really
Yeah.
fun one. Always exciting. Keep it rolling. Keep it Nolan. Nolan Arenado.
Nolan. What?
His sixth platinum glove in a row. Not bad.
No. Yeah, I mean, what else do you say about that? He's the best defender in the National League once again, 6 in a row,
Yeah.
which is obviously the most because the Platinum Glove has not existed that long. And I think I saw something that like before Yachty retired, 10 of the 12 National League Platinum Gloves were on the same team.
Yeah, it's like
So
it's Yachty, Nolan, and then I think it was Andrelton Simmons got one, which
yeah,
makes sense when he was a shortstop for the Braves, I believe. And then the other one is Anthony Rizzo, which is just annoying because
Anthony Rizzo got a Platinum Glove.
yeah, well, it was after 2016,
Oh
so
my God.
it was just when the Cubs were, it's everyone wanted to give the Cubs everything possible.
Ugh.
I don't think it's possible for a first baseman to be the best defensive player in the league.
No.
It's got to be like a catcher, center fielder, or third base or shortstop. Like,
Yeah.
there's no, yeah,
That's
but
stupid.
yeah, it's very stupid.
And Nolan
Um,
really, I agree. It should really be up the middle, but Nolan is such a
he's
dynamic freak show of a player that it you can make the argument. But
yeah.
Huh.
Well, because he plays third base, but he also kind of plays shortstop.
Yeah.
When we talked about him last time, that those barehanded plays up the middle, like those are the shortstops plays, but he's better, faster, and stronger than every shortstop,
Right.
so he's over there before they can. But we talk about Nolan. Everyone,
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
new to
Yeah.
add to the table here. Just it's exciting and just
Yeah.
builds on that Hall of Fame trajectory that he's on.
There he goes, being great.
All right, what do you want to talk about next?
Yeah. So we were talking about Katie Woo, Derek Gould. Something else that I thought was interesting that came out of the kind of like the wrap up from the GM meetings that happened last week was that Derek Gould noted that the Cardinals are looking for a catcher and an impact bat. So to me, I find that really curious in the sense that like we've talked in circles around this. Like I think we have ideas about the catcher position, and we've weighed in on that. And I kind of would like to see the catcher position be an impact bat or at least a plus bat. With a guy from Toronto or with Sean Murphy, and there's obviously other options out there as well. But the idea of publicly saying that and an impact bat is very interesting to me, and I'm curious of like where that could possibly come from, what that means, what like especially with seeing guys like Jock Peterson accept his qualifying offer. It is hard for me to understand what the Cardinals think they mean by an impact bat. Is that re-signing Corey Dickerson? Is that making a play at Brandon Nemo? There's a like what I just found that very interesting. I guess is really where I want to stop
Yeah,
talking at.
I think the most likely thing is they are also viewing that as one and the same. Get the catcher who's also an impact bat, and then barring that, then they're getting just a catcher, and then they would go and try and find an impact bat. I saw it, like Alejandro Kirk for the Blue Jays. He had an up and down
Yeah,
season last year, but he's projected by Steamer in 2023 to have a 141 WRC plus, which would be better than everybody on the Cardinals, assuming Goldschmidt doesn't repeat his MVP year,
right.
which of course he could. But so there are open options available via trade that would be both. Kirk has some risk because he has really only done it for half a season, but you're always they're not even trading him if he had done that for a full season, right? So we'll see. But after
Yeah,
that, I don't know. I mean, I still, you and I keep talking about this. One of us will be right. Unless the Cardinals make a major trade that involves multiple outfielders, I still don't believe that they're going to try to acquire an outfielder. So then it's left with basically either second base or shortstop as where they could get an impact bat or a full time DH. And we'll just say, okay, Gorman, I guess we'll figure out where you go and
yeah,
which is also sidebar. I think Gorman, we talked a lot about this in the bird scored. I think Gorman is like the most obvious trade chip the Cardinals have right now for one of
yeah,
these impact guys. But I don't know. I think it's got to be the most simple solution here is a catcher who is also an impact bat, and then from there it all goes back to they're gonna have to spend money, I think, on one of the shortstops, whether it's Xander or
yeah,
Dansby
yeah.
or like that. It's the only one I can think of that makes any sense and doesn't just create more log jams where they're already trying to solve for. Especially if they really if Gould and Wu are echoing internal sentiment around Jordan Walker,
I
the,
know.
then they can't get another outfielder, because now you're truly locked
Or
up.
Dylan's gone.
Yeah, or Dylan's gone. Which I've been seeing people call for Dylan to be the one traded in like a trade for a catcher. People think he lines up really well with the Blue Jays. And I get that, but I still hope that that's not the case. Dylan should be, I think people forget how young he is.
Yes.
Um, and you know, I don't, they clearly didn't want to trade him last year. And I don't see how that changes because of 2 months, So
Yeah, like
I
Dylan
think
Carlson is 1 year older than Nolan Gorman.
right.
Like he
And
is he's a baby child. He's 2 years younger than Brendan Donovan. Like he has done nothing. Well, like he has not been in the major leagues long enough, and he is so talented, and he's a switch
yeah,
hitting center fielder who can
We
has a
get
plus glove and a potential plus bat. Like, yeah,
right. We've been
but
also jaded by like the Julios and the rookies who come up and immediately blow the league away when the normal projection or trajectory for a player, especially when they're called up when they're 21 years old, is that
yeah,
like it takes a couple years to get really comfortable and get good, and like nothing
baseball's
about
really
yeah,
hard.
yeah, exactly. So I really hope they don't trade Carlson. I hope they don't trade O'Neill. I hope that they acquire Sean Murphy, Kirk, or Jansen, and then also sure go and get like Xander or Dansby or
Yeah,
whatever and just
Kirk,
stack it up.
Kirk, I like a lot. I just have no idea what he costs to trade for. That worries
Yeah,
me because like his ability to stay behind the plate is like that's a question for me. I don't know how much I love his defense. I do think he is a very good hitter.
yeah,
I think that's unquestionable. I'm not sure if he transitions to like first or third base or DH only at some point in his career, which is fine because he is that good of a hitter. It's just not the shape of the hole that the Cardinals need to fill right now.
right. Yeah,
But
I'd
like
much rather.
if the Cardinals signed or traded for Kirk and then signed like Christian Vasquez or something like that, and Kirk is being a backup catcher and DHing all the time, and maybe getting a start at first every once in a while, like that even would be really interesting to me. I just don't love his defense behind the plate.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things too about these Blue Jays catchers is that none of them have done a full season's load of catching because they had so many good catchers. They've been able to like do a platoon and rotate guys around and give ample rest. And so who knows what like Kirk as a 140 game catcher starting, what would that actually look like? Would his bat maintain the quality if he also has to catch every single day, which he didn't have to do with the Blue
Right.
Jays?
But
I
again,
love, yeah,
like I'll
you go.
reiterate, if that's the role that he fits with the Cardinals, that makes a lot of sense to me too. That shouldn't be off the table.
Yeah. Are you are you off of, or are you still considering the Wilson Contreras train here?
Well, yeah, that's kind of the next thing I have here. Let's talk about that. I personally I kind of put that blah, blah, blah. I put Wilson Contreras in the same bucket as I put Alejandro Kirk in the sense that I don't think that Wilson Contreras is a great defensive catcher. He obviously has a rocket arm. He is faster than you'd think he is. He has got lots of power. But I think you sign Wilson Contreras in a similar role. He catches 1 or 2 days a week. He DHs. Maybe he plays a little bit of right field. Maybe he plays a little bit of first base. I think he is more of a utility player than a strictly catcher. And I would think if any team is willing to give him money that is anywhere serious, that's how they would also look at him. I know the Cardinals are valuing defense behind the catcher, at the catcher position. I think I need some more coffee. Um, but I don't know. Like, I think most smart teams are value defense above all at the catcher position. That is how I personally feel. I think the
Yeah.
Cardinals feel that way because they just held on to the best defensive catcher of his generation for 20 years. So, do I think Wilson Contreras helps out the Cardinals? Yes. Do I think that he fits the hole that we're talking about? I don't. And I
Yeah.
think that it would be I don't think that we as Cardinals fans would enjoy watching him catch 135 games next year because of what we're used to, the style of play that we're used to. But he's a freak of nature. He is unbelievably talented, strong, quick, all that stuff. He can play baseball. Um, I just don't know if I
Be-
want to pay him
yeah.
like a power hitting catcher.
Being able to play baseball is a key requirement that I don't
Yeah.
think that is being reported on enough. So thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the to me the benefit of Wilson Contreras is that the only thing it costs you is money, and
Yeah.
every one of these other guys, they're costing you prospects and all of that. So I think that's really the argument to be made for Wilson Contreras is if that the Cardinals want to use their trade capital for somewhere else, but still want to solve for catcher with a impact external option. That's where he fits in. But
Yeah.
if
And
it's like just get him and then not anyone else or trade for
yeah.
anyone else, then I'm not very supportive of it.
And I guess the way that I'm looking at that is like catchers are like a good catchers just don't exist, right? There's like what 6 or 7 of them that are what you would
Right.
say are like good catchers that they're good at their catching duties and they are good hitters. So my kind of thought is like this is a position that you have to overpay for if you're valuing that. If you want to get the Sean Murphy, Alejandro Kirk, Danny
Yeah.
Jansen, and there are presumably 3 of those available via trade, and it will be expensive. And then if you want to go augment the offense, you can go pay Xander or
Right.
Swanson or Nemo or all these other names that we've talked about. I believe JD Martinez is a free agent. Like you can go find a bat for not as much. There's information or people have been talking about how like lefty bats are going to be overvalued this offseason. Righty bats maybe not so much, but like the specificity of the idea of somebody being able to play catcher and hit, I, I think
Yeah.
that is where I would choose to spend my prospect capital, and hope the Cardinals see it that way as well. Does
Yeah.
that
I
make
suspect
sense?
that it does. And all on top of all of this too is that Wilson Contreras is 31, and of all positions that don't have a no position has a good age curve, and the catcher position has like the worst one by a mile, right? So you expect probably his bat can maintain longer than his ability to catch, but still that wear and tear on the body brings down everything. Most hitters
Yeah,
as they age, get
and
less effective as well. So
and I think his hitting profile is good for a catcher. It is bad for any of the positions that he or not bad, it is average, like middle
right.
for any like if he is a right fielder or a first baseman or something, a traditional kind of power position. I highly doubt that he's going to transition to shortstop or center field. So I don't love it. I know that like this seems to be what all the national writers, their like number one connection is the Cardinals here.
Yeah.
And I will
Well,
say LOL Cubs is a very
yeah.
interesting part about it, but I just
Well, of
don't like
course,
it.
there's that. I think, and I think we've mentioned this a few times, but I think one thing we as Cardinal fans just have to be ready for is for basically every potential free agent or trade target to be connected to the Cardinals at least once, because the Cardinals have said they're willing to increase payroll. So they're now writers can easily tie any free agent to us. And then also we have a good set of high end prospects right now. So then it's also really easy for writers to tie any trade prospect to us,
Right.
because you can make any trade where Jordan Walker or Mason Wynn or Nolan Gorman or any of these guys are. If you think of them as on the table, then yeah, every trade becomes an option, right? And the writers, their job is to put out articles and come up with like interesting scenarios, right?
Sure.
And so
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, so we just have to be really used to like, oh, the Cardinals, what a perfect fit for Justin Verlander, or what a perfect fit for Jacob DeGrom, or trading for who, it's going
Yeah.
to be on until all of these are done. The Cardinals are going to constantly be linked to all of these different options, even if there's no actual reality behind them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a fun spot to be in, though. I'd rather be linked to everything than like people saying the Cardinals have no shot at anything, right? So
Oh,
I'll
I'd
take,
much rather, yeah, like at least we're invited to the dance. We're not like where the Reds or
yeah,
the Pirates are sitting right now. Where that I think, well, I guess the Pirates on the other side, they're talking about like trading away Brian Reynolds and
yeah,
some of the players that they still have that are still relevant. Yeah, I guess, we'll see. I think I want to see I just want to see the Cardinals go get that catcher. And then I think
yeah.
everything else will kind of fall into place, but they need to get that guy.
I suspect that's got to be the primary focus right now, for all the teams, right? Like the Blue Jays want to know who are they going to have at catcher,
Right.
and Athletics are probably fine to stand pat if it doesn't happen, but like, I think these trades are what tend to get done first, so then teams know what they need to spend their money on.
Yeah. Before we move off and get fully into the free agent talk, I do want to bug you about a specific free agent who has been linked to the Cardinals a little bit recently. He had a great 2 months with the Yankees. He made some changes. He is believing in analytics now. He went to the Marucci Bat Factory or whatever and got his swing looked at, new bat, who dis, all that kind of stuff. people are linking Matt Carpenter's return with the Cardinals, and I will caveat that all with we know the shift is going to be illegal next year, and I think the shift probably bit him maybe more than any baseball player that you can think of. Maybe him and Rizzo are 1 and 2 on that list. What do you think about the Matt Carpenter, Adam Wainwright sail off into the sunset reunion tour
We're doing it again.
2.0?
We're
Yeah.
doing it again. First of all, I love referring to the shift as illegal.
Yeah.
Uh, you do it, you're going to jail, buddy.
Yeah. Theo
Um,
Epstein, he said he's going to have a cop at every stadium. They're going to shoot
yeah,
players first and then ask
and
questions
frankly,
later.
yeah, they deserve it.
Yeah.
Get those feet off that dirt
Yeah.
or off that grass, whatever it is.
On the dirt, off the grass.
On the dirt, off the grass.
Yeah.
Boy, see that blade of grass touching the tip of your. All right. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those ones that it's like, it's so, of course, it's fun. I love Matt Carpenter. We all love Matt Carpenter. I get the argument for it. He looked good as a Yankee. He looked good as a Yankee. I hope he keeps
Yeah.
that stash if he does come back.
Yeah.
Um, and I get the argument about the shift. Like, if there's ever a time for Matt Carpenter to be successful again, like, though, that's the recipe for it. But also, we don't have that short porch like the Yankees do.
Yeah.
I don't think we have space right now for a no position gamble DH. I mean, I know we just did that with Albert Pujols,
I was just
but
going to say.
the team was different then. We didn't have Jordan. We had Corey Dickerson.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have Jordan Walker, Burleson, Yepes, all these guys that we want to see get ABs. So I guess I'd be fine with it. I get out my salsa or whatever,
Yeah.
and he's a Cardinal great. He's going to be in the Cardinal Hall of Fame. I would not complain if Matt Carpenter came back as a Cardinal. I'd probably be excited about it. But I'm also kind of okay if it doesn't happen, and that's probably my preference. But if it does, hey, maybe we get Pujols 2.0 and he hits 25 bombs, and
Yeah.
we all get to reminisce to the, I don't know, 2013 World Series or something.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
think it really comes down to like the question is Matt Carpenter getting a major league deal this offseason or is he getting invited to spring training? And my guess is that he's getting a major league deal.
yeah,
If I had to put money on it this very moment, I think he's going to be a Yankee. He's going to sign like a pretty
right,
non-lucrative, like a fairly cheapo deal with the Yankees, come back, run it back with that team again. Obviously, there was magic going on there. Like, I was just looking at his expected stats on Statcast as compared to his results. So just for some fun, like, there are obviously changes in his swing, but his exit velocity, max exit velocity, his launch angle, everything was pretty much the same with his career. So it wasn't like he found some like magic juice or anything like that. And his average was 305. His expected batting average, according to Statcast, was 231. His slugging was a massive 727.
yeah,
His expected slugging, according to Statcast, 485. So
yeah,
that is like, you look at those numbers and that's ripe for regression. But it also speaks to what you're talking about, the ballpark that he's playing in or was playing in, and how that's uniquely benefits a hitter like him with a high launch angle that is a left-hander and all that stuff. So yeah, I
yeah,
think I agree with you. I will say I would not put it past the DeWitts to just be like, you know what, we got to do it. He had a great year. Why wouldn't we want him back with more butts and seats? I wouldn't. It would not shock me by any means.
yeah. The the I get that, yeah. And again, I'd probably be fine with it, but like the
Would you?
Pujols thing, I don't know, probably.
Yeah.
The Pujols thing, there was a clear argument for a use case.
Yeah.
A DH against lefties. What are we doing with Matt Carpenter? A
It's your
DH
everyday
against,
DH. Yeah.
I guess, but that sucks.
Yeah.
I don't, I don't know. I
He
guess I
was
don't.
playing right field for the Yankees, by the way. It looked bad,
Yeah, right.
but it
And
was
I
like he
want
was starting over Joey Gallo, which made sense at the time.
right. I'd much rather just have Gorman
Yes.
getting all those at bats
Yeah.
and Donovan playing second base, and than taking a gamble on Matt Carpenter. Let's just remember him for what he was, and also forget the last 2 years of the Cardinals. And we'll
Sure.
welcome him back in his red jacket just as long as he keeps that mustache.
Yeah, let's move to a player. I want to get back to the free agent conversation. We'll move to a player who is maybe the polar opposite of Matt Carpenter, other than the fact that they're both left-handed hitting players. Kevin Kiermaier has been waived by the Rays. There has been reports that the Cardinals have been interested in KK for a while, going back and trying to trade for him, I think, as far back as 2019. One of the best center fielders to play, in my opinion. He is like unbelievably good. I think he's 31. And he is being linked to the Cardinals right now. What do you think? I think I know what you think because you don't think any more outfielders need to be part of the game. But this guy's your fourth outfielder, your defensive replacement. What are your thoughts on the Cardinals' interest or potential interest in Kevin Kiermaier?
Yeah, so Kiermaier has been one of my more favorite players for a long time. So I'm like sort of biased towards Kiermaier specifically. But the Cardinals have had players of his mold, uh, like for the last 10 years also. I think there's a big overlap with like a Harrison Bader and a Kevin Kiermaier, or remember the Peter Borges experiment, right?
Oh, I remember.
These high end center field defensive players that everyone says someday they're going to hit 25 home runs and steal 20 bases. You just need it to happen.
Yeah.
But it just never does, right? There's always something in the way. And with Kiermaier, it's always been health. He gets hurt. He's been hurt a lot. And then now he's over 31. And so the bat's slowing down a little bit. And that like allure of the 2020 season from Kevin Kiermaier seems to have gone away.
Yeah.
So it just like, I really like him. I just don't know. Like it feels like that ship has sailed on like Kevin Kiermaier as a big member of your team. I mean, he got waived from the Rays for a reason, you know. So previous argument about like we don't need another outfielder stands. I guess if you're gonna get one, an elite defender makes more sense to me than a lot of these other ones that we've been talking about because I'd rather see the bat from all these other guys get ABs. But if you're looking at someone who's just going to come in and be that defensive backup who's at least going to give you a competitive at bat, like I'm more supportive of that than like locking in someone who would be a starter no matter
Yeah.
what, you know. I wonder what he's going to get and if he's even going to like what kind of contracts are going to be available to him, because if it's something cheap and it's something where we could maybe stash him in the minors also, like in case things really fall apart at the major league level, you have this guy that can come up and be a productive major league player. He's getting old and he hasn't really, I don't know.
Yeah.
I really liked him, and for a while it looked like he was going to be the best center fielder in baseball, and in some ways he was, but I don't know why now, I guess.
Yeah. Another platinum glove winning player. Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the only reason it makes sense is if you're not sure that your outfield is going to be healthy. Because I think I could
Yeah.
reasonably argue that Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Carlson, and Lars Nootbaar are, if not Gold Glove winners, they are Gold Glove potential. Like obviously
Right.
Tyler already won one. I think we're really happy with what we saw from Dylan in center field, and I think we're very happy with what we saw from Newton in right. So I think if you're not sure that those guys are all going to be healthy, then it makes sense, because even if you're starting Burleson in one of those corner outfield spots, you can swap him. When you have the lead or the game goes on, you can swap him with a Newt or an
Yeah.
O'Neill or a Carl and kind of go from there. So yeah, I think I mostly agree with you. Assuming health, of course. But
Yeah.
I will
It's one of
say
the
the defense drops off after those three guys.
Yeah.
Yepes, not so good. We definitely saw that last year. Burleson, it's fine. We don't really know what to expect from Walker. Moises Gomez is not a defensive stalwart either. Like the defensive floor drops off pretty quickly. Brendan Donovan is fine in the outfield, definitely better in the infield. So yeah, I think there's some sense to it, but the current roster makeup probably no.
That's like this one of those things where obviously this decision would be so much easier in hindsight, but it really matters on like who is starting and how consistent they are able to. Because yeah, if it turns out that we're all of a sudden back in this huge um like injury mix, then I would love to have Kevin Kiermaier on the team. But if you're rolling out with a starting outfield that you really enjoy and you feel like you've got a couple backups for the corners, like what's he going to do? Where's he going to play? He's just
Yeah,
going to take at bats away from the guys that we want to see get at bats.
sure. All right. Final thing I want to talk about. I have listed here Turner, Correa, Bogart, Swanson. I don't think we're really in the conversation for Turner or Correa. The more kind of the reporting comes out and the more we kind of look at the situation, I think those guys are going to get super duper paid. Those guys might both make close to 300. Um, we've talked about Bogarts and Swanson a little bit. I guess I'm curious to see if you've had any revelations or thoughts on those two players, how they would fit in with the Cardinals, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, again, it comes down to like I think if you're doing that, you're definitely trading Gorman because he absolutely has no place to play if you trade for one of these guys.
Yeah.
So I think it would have to be a lot of either follow up moves or moves leading up to it, and we don't see the Cardinals doing that a lot. You know, I think they're more likely to roll out Gorman or any of these prospects that we've been waiting for than like go and sign one of those guys. But I will say, like, I personally am very for it. I would like I'd be fine with them signing either guy. I think the
Are you leaning one direction?
uh trying to think of a Harry Styles joke and
Oh,
I
lame.
I know. I
I saw
know.
Don't Worry Darling not long ago, and my God, was that stupid.
Why? Why did you watch that?
I like to see films.
You wanted to get up on all the hot goss and understand why what's his face spit and what's his face's lap. As Harry Styles got spit on, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
This
I
isn't
don't
that
know.
kind of show, Nate. I don't want to talk about that filth. No,
Hot goss
I
corner.
like films.
So you watched
I like going
that.
to a theater and seeing a
Ah,
film.
yes. The theater,
Yes.
indeed. I like popcorn.
We went to
Uh,
Alamo and I got some fried chicken while I watched that movie.
that sounds okay. Now I'm back on board.
Yeah.
There's an Alamo like a mile from me that opens up shortly. I'm very excited about it. Um, I have a movie rec for you. We watched RRR. Have you heard of this or seen it?
No, I only know it because it was a trivia question that I got correct completely blindly at a trivia night recently.
Nice. Well, it's a 3-hour movie coming out of India. It's not technically Bollywood. It's referred to as Tollywood, which is another um, region within India. But it is basically uh, well, first of all, I love Bollywood films because they both show and tell everything all of the time. So they're all like 3 hours long, and you just get like ridiculous scenes over and over and over. But this was like a one of the newer Fast and the Furious movies, which might sound like a bad thing to some listeners, but at least to Ben and I, like we love those movies. Imagine Fast and Furious with song and dance in the middle of it. You know,
Sure. Yeah, the one thing
it's
Fast and Furious is missing.
I actually think they should do it. I would love for there to be like songs in Fast and Furious that all the main singers are singing. But anyway, it's wonderful. I don't really feel like I'm doing it justice right now because of the way I'm explaining it, but I highly, highly recommend you watch RRR. It's one of the most absurd movies I've ever seen. And it was a pure joy end to end. It's the only 3-hour movie that I've ever seen that felt like it was like I was enjoying it
Hmm.
and engaged the
All right.
entire time. So, anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, so I think you know where I think I've been landing, and this
Bogarts
was
and
yeah,
Swanson.
this is not what I was expecting before, but I'm really intrigued by Bogarts at second base and Edman
Yeah.
at short.
Yeah.
Um, that to me sounds like an interesting option and also gives you some flexibility because let's say something happens and for whatever reason Edmund needs to be playing elsewhere. You could move Bogarts over to short. He's not the best, but he's done it at a major league level for a long time now. And that would give you opportunities, give Edmund rest and get Donovan at second base. And, it just adds this really compelling versatility. And then also his bat. I mean, 300 hitter, 20 home runs, like good OBP. He's going to do all the things that we want. And if you put Bogarts in front of Goldie and Arenado, I mean, like we're going to score 8,000 runs a game, so that's where I'm leaning, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think none of that's going to happen. I think that the Cardinals are not going to sign any major free agent. That's where I'm back on that.
I think that's
But
probably most likely, but yeah, I think real quick, I just think Bogart's 200 over 7, second baseman, driving the offense. Yeah, that's like such a no brainer to me. I'd love to see that,
yeah,
but yeah, I agree that's probably not going to happen. It would also, it would have to happen in Congress with other moves, as you were kind of
yeah,
leading to. But yeah, cool.
yeah. I mean, if they trade Gorman for Sean Murphy, acquire Xander Bogarts, have a middle infield starting of Edman and Bogarts, and then Donovan as your backup, who's also just playing everywhere. Like that's great,
Yeah,
right? And if Edman, goes the other way, even though which we predicted, and it was both right and wrong in 2022, you have Bogarts as your shortstop and Donovan as your second baseman, or so
yeah,
a lot of
can't
options.
be mad about that.
Nope. Um, we'll see. I suspect a lot of that stuff's not going to happen for a couple more months.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So we've got some more league-wide stuff to talk about. But before we do that, we want to remind everyone that this show is supported on Patreon. We have been slowly growing our Patreon since we started this show. We spend a lot of time and effort, though it doesn't necessarily sound like it to our listeners, creating this show and bringing it to you every single week. And so if you want to support the show, consider kicking us a couple bucks a week or a month or a week on patreon.com/talking about birds. Patrons at any level get access to the Bird Scored. Shout out to the Bird Scored. It's our private Discord server. We're having all sorts of conversations in there, baseball and otherwise. Get off of Twitter, get into the Bird Scored, hang out with us. It's a bunch of cool, it's a bunch of rude
rude
dudes,
dudes.
rude dudes with attitudes. It's in the Bird Scored now. It's happened. That's what we are calling ourselves. So I don't know if that makes you want to join the Bird Scored more or less, but that's what's going on. So
I'm considering leaving it.
that's fine. That's a net gain.
Yeah.
So yeah, patreon.com/talking about birds. Also consider leaving us a review on your favorite podcast platform. It helps. Ben, otherwise, where can people find us online?
Yeah, if you're still want to be on Twitter, you can follow us at Talk About Birds on Twitter. On Instagram, you can follow us Talking About Birds. And as usual, you can email us questions, thoughts, musings, criticisms, biting remarks, threats,
Yeah.
gifts,
Yeah, that's fine. Okay.
cheese. We'll take
Sure.
cheese. Talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. Email us
Email
again.
us cheese.
I mean, like gift cards and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A gift card for cheese.
The King Soopers
A
by
thing
my
that
house has a really good cheese
okay.
selection. So,
Okay.
there's also, I mean, send me a gift card to Spinelli's. Well, I got to take you to Spinelli's. It's
I don't
messing
think
with my
yeah.
microphone. It's this little Italian market by my house. It's got a whole cheese
Ooh.
section. They make their own cheese. They make their own pasta and bread and so good. Yeah, email us again. That's talkaboutbirds@gmail.com.
Great. So we still have a fair amount of things to talk about around the league, though. The hot stove, as we've mentioned, is lit. So, Ben, what do you want to talk about first?
Yeah, the news hot off the presses. I guess when this episode comes out, it'll be a day late, but hot off the presses to us. Teoscar Hernandez is now a Seattle Mariner. He has been traded there from the Blue Jays in exchange for setup man Eric Swanson and pitching prospect Adam Macko. Interesting to me in the sense that Teoscar Hernandez is somebody who I guess I thought would maybe carry a little bit more weight than that on the trade market. I wouldn't even totally especially think for him to be available via trade. He is in his final year. Obviously, the Mariners are pushing in and the Blue Jays are looking for pitching help. So interesting move, impact bat for sure. He's a guy that can come in and hit 40 home runs. We'll see what he has, and he'll be in his walk year. So I don't know, kind of a big move this early in the offseason.
Yeah, very surprising. And at first glance, the return does seem very low. Teoscar had a 129 WRC plus last year. Generally, across, he's a Statcast darling. He's one of the leaders in hard hit, all the stuff you look for. He did have a sort of a choppy year last year. He was basically pretty bad for the first half, and then really came on strong in the second half. I think it's a great pickup for the Mariners. I think they're probably ready to move on from Jared Kelenic, and he's going to slot in right there next to Julio, and maybe Mitch Haniger, or I don't know what they're doing with Jesse Winker. Although Winker might be a free agent, but
No, he
anyway,
is not. There are conversations about Winker being on the trade block, which I wasn't going to bring up, but I do think that would be a very
yeah,
interesting target for the Cardinals. I
he
love
was
Jesse Winker.
he was pretty bad last year for the
Yes,
Mariners,
he
though on
was.
a
Go
on a
go
really good team.
man. He
Um,
was injured though.
yeah,
He had all kinds of issues. If the
yeah,
Cardinals were able to get him, I mean, I would be so for that move. I know you don't think we need
yeah,
more outfielders, but that guy Wink can hit. Okay.
yeah. Wink can play. So I was surprised by this for sure. Mako is pretty well regarded, but he's still a single A pitching prospect, so do with that what you will. And then Swanson had a really good last year, but still any reliever on, it's all
Yeah.
small sample size. So really, really surprising. Kind of looks like a salary dump, but it's not like he was making a crazy amount of money. And it's opened up a big hole for the Blue Jays, which people are really interested to see how they're going to fill it, which has been really driving some of that conversation around the Cardinals linking up with them,
Yeah.
trading an outfielder for a catcher. So we'll see.
I definitely think it puts him in the Brandon Nimmo market. I would not that he makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense for that team. He's a lefty.
yeah.
He's a good defensive outfielder. He could be at the top of the lineup. They need all those things. So yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Moving on, the Angels signed Tyler Anderson in a deal that I would actually say, good job, Angels. You
I
signed an
know
effective starting pitcher to more than a
it's
1 year deal.
it's smart. I saw this and my first reaction was like, wait, did the Angels just do something that is basic and smart? Like it's 339, so they're not overcommitting to
Yep.
someone. They need starting pitching. He's been good. He's not going to be their ace, but they need like a one, a two, a three, a four, and a five on their team. So this is really settling in somewhere there in the middle of their rotation.
Yeah.
And we are not fans of the Angels, but we're fans of a lot of the Angels players. So
Yeah.
I want to see Otani and Trout in the playoffs, and so getting Anderson is just smart and
Yeah.
simple, and I hope that they do more of that.
It was the first time the Angels had handed out a free agent pitcher a multi-year contract since Joe Blanton in 2012. So,
Blanton,
take
yeah,
that to the bank. Moving down the line, Anthony Rizzo, Big Tony,
uh
is
huh.
back with the Yankees. I did not see that coming. Signed a 2 year deal that, when it's all said and done, guarantees him at least 40 million bucks. There was a player option for a third year. But I think probably smart move by the Yankees. Good money for Rizzo, especially like he kind of had a weird year, and I think in post shift world, he's going to reprove himself over the next 2 years, and we'll see what that looks like. But probably good move all around.
Former platinum glove winner. Um,
So
yeah,
stupid.
I mean, I thought it made sense,
Yeah,
and it's one of those ones that just like, retain your good players. The
sure.
Yankees had a great 2022. Like, let's not get too crazy here. They may very well lose Judge. Let's not lose Judge and Rizzo. Um, yeah,
Yeah, we
it's
will
fine.
we will see about Judge. The more and more I'm thinking the Yankees are not going to be beat, but San Francisco's got a lot of cash, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Moving down the line again, Mets hire Jeff Albert.
Yeah, it was obvious he was going to get a job
Yeah,
somewhere, and I've seen some interesting takes on this that, so he's the director of hitting,
yeah,
which is a position that is not on the field, and so some people are saying like that's actually probably the better spot for Jeff Albert, but because he's not like on the field, he's managing the program
right.
that is the hitting program, and that's kind of what he was doing with the Cardinals and with the Astros, but also with the Cardinals, he was on the field. So um, maybe this is even better for him. I mean, it's essentially a promotion. He's
Right.
so it's worked out really well for him turning down the Cardinals offer. He got an even better offer for a team that has more money than they know what to do with it. So I
Yeah.
guess good for him. I'm not surprised. We all knew
No.
he was going to go and get another job.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No, and
um,
I'm sure he will be successful. It makes sense.
and that'll teach him to come to St. Louis
Yeah.
and be a good hitting coach.
Yeah. We don't want talent.
Yeah, get out of here.
You jerk with all his
Fired
highfalutin thoughts and ideas.
MVP winners and
Yeah.
breakout
Jerk.
candidate. Yeah, yeah. Get out of here.
James Click. So last week we reported he has
It
accepted
was
an
so
offer. What turned out to happen is that he was offered that. He was expected to accept it, but he told Jim Crane to go pound sand. Essentially, he thought it was an insult that he just won a World Series. He had all the success over the last 3 years, was offered a 1-year deal, and he said, like my dear country singer Johnny Paycheck, take this job and shove it. To
Wait, what?
I knew that was a reference. It was going to go over your head. Johnny Paycheck is his most famous song is "Take This Job and Shove It."
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great song.
I don't even have a reaction or a response to it. I'm going to let you move on, but Johnny Paycheck is my new favorite
Yeah,
artist.
I'd love to see the Cardinals swoop up James Click. He's going to get a job somewhere. If he could be in a Cardinal jersey, that would be fantastic. But he'll be fine. Weird move by Jim Crane. Anyways, John Jay is back in Major League Baseball. He is going to be the first base coach for the Miami Marlins. They're bringing the band back together.
Bringing that booty power.
Oh yeah.
Runners going to first base are going to have to like dodge to the left when they get up there. So
See, I,
boink
I
right
think
off
they're
a.
everyone's going to try to go left, but they're going to end up going right because of the gravitational pull of dead
Oh
ass.
yeah, they're going to go right into the booty. Yeah, it's a real. They're going to have to worry about that. Maybe it's a competitive advantage.
Yeah,
You
there you
know.
go. I think the only thing that needs to happen next is Daniel Descalso needs to be third base coach. I don't think that's going to happen, but like let's just
Bring the
keep this happening.
get that Memphis Mafia over in Miami. The
Hell yeah.
Miami Mafia.
Love
Yeah.
it. Moving on, Francona wins AL Manager of the Year, and Buck wins the National League Manager of the Year. We talked about that a little bit last week. For my money, Terry makes sense. The whole idea of Buck winning it is silly to me, but East Coast bias, Buck love, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. It is what it is. I guess to me, the interesting thing is, and it made more sense that we learned today, is that Marmol came in fourth
Yeah,
and actually had um, almost as many first place votes as the rest of these guys. He just didn't get as much of the second and third place votes, which ended up making him pretty far down on the list. But he was right there with these guys in a lot of that stuff. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I just don't understand, and not that it really matters. This award is whatever, but it just doesn't make sense to me that the team with a salary their payroll is like $250 million could be surprising to win 100 games. But here we are,
Yep. The Mets.
the
It's the Mets
Mets,
factor. Yep.
the Mets.
All right. Well, we'll continue to keep everyone up to date as the off season continues. Already seeing surprises.
Yeah,
Teoscar, big surprise. So I expect we'll see a lot more of that through the off season. And so now we're going to wrap up the episode with another dumb game. Last week we basically did a little prediction game, and we tried to predict who would be the winners of all of these different awards, and they haven't actually all been announced yet. But either way, I thought it would be, that game went so well last week. I thought it would be fun and interesting for us to dive right back in.
Oh,
Oh no.
dear God.
Oh, I had a whole thing planned. Oh God. All right. Well, Now we know.
Foiled by your
All
own
right.
soundboard,
Well,
huh?
yeah.
Wow.
The Ben, I'm afraid to say the card shark is back. It
Oh
seems so.
my
We're
God.
we're gonna have to feed him. We have to feed the shard cart, shard cark, the card shark. All right, get out of here, soundboard. All right, I guess we're playing card shark because otherwise we're gonna get eaten.
I love
So
being alive. So yeah, let's not.
yeah. So Ben, I've got a pack of baseball cards here.
Okay.
The tops. These were printed over. I'm still going off of some I bought last year. I'm gonna get some new ones once like the new packs come out. So these were bought over the beginning of the 2022 season. So
Okay.
a lot of it was printed during like before some of the moves and just mid-season trades and things that happened. So the way this game will work is I will give you the name of the player, and then you tell me what team they're on. I will accept either what's printed on the card or the team that they moved to in
Okay.
2022. And then what position they play
Yeah.
is another point. So,
I feel
are
good.
you ready? It's been a
Yeah.
little while since we've done this one.
I feel smart. I feel
Pretty.
no. No. No.
No. Well, let's prove how wrong you are. All right, we're starting off. Here's a fun one. Little known guy, Cedric Mullins.
Oh, Cedric. I really, really like Cedric Mullins. He is the center fielder for the Baltimore Orioles.
Very good. All right.
And he good.
So he good.
What are the Orioles
Um,
going to do this offseason? I hope they go get Carlos.
I know that there's a lot of people trying to say they should get DeGrom or like Verlander,
Yeah.
and just like do one of these high risk, high reward guys
Yeah.
and either like win the AL East or get last place again, but
Yeah.
like it'll, still be fun. So um I'm very supportive of that. They seem to be in a much better position than they were with their new group. So
Agreed.
Kurt Suzuki.
He just retired. I know last year he was with the Angels. And I believe the year prior to that he was with the Nationals. And he's a catcher, and I don't really like him. So move on.
Yeah, so he is. You are correct. On the card, he is Angels and he is catcher. So you are
Wow.
2 for 2. Um, Willie Castro.
Willie Castro. Ooh, dang it. He's had movement recently. I know. Oh, crap. He either was an Astro and is now a Tiger, or was a Tiger and is now an Astro. I'm going to go with the first one. I think he was an Astro. He's now a Tiger. He's a middle infielder, probably listed as a shortstop.
Yeah, so he's a Tiger. Um, Roar. All right, new rule. You have to, if it's an animal, you have to make the sound of the
Okay.
animal.
All right.
Was he an Astro?
I thought he was.
No, I don't think so, unless it
Really?
was in his minor league career.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter because I
Yeah.
was right. So, ha.
Yeah. He's listed as a second base and shortstop
Why did I
on
think
the
he was
card.
an Astro? Oh, I'm
I
thinking of
don't know.
Nico Goodrum. Nico Goodrum was they're
Okay.
both switch hitting middle infielders. They were both on the Tigers, and now they're Nico Goodrum is an Astro.
Gotcha. All right. Tyler McGill.
Tyler McGill. He is a Met pitcher, reliever.
Well, I'm gonna give it to you. He's a pitcher.
Yeah,
He's a starting pitcher.
yeah.
He's not a reliever.
Is he a Met?
So yes, he is a
Okay,
Met.
all right. I'll take that.
Um,
Good enough. You,
yeah, he can.
I think it'd be honorable to. I did specify relief pitcher, so I think I could be docked.
Okay.
I admit when I'm wrong, Nathan,
Wow.
dear boy.
Ah. Yeah, he actually, if you remember at the beginning of the year, he had quite the breakout.
Yeah,
And then it started to kind of collapse after that. He ended up with a 5.13 ERA.
Bum.
Yeah. So, I think he got hurt too. So,
Soft.
yeah. Tyler Glasnow.
Tyler Glasnow. Here's another name that I think would be a great conversational or a great person to talk about it being a future Cardinal. He is a starting pitcher for the Rays, future Cardinal. Unhealthy all the time, but man, he strikes people out.
Yeah, I've always really liked Glasnow. He's coming off of Tommy John, and he just turned 29 a couple
Yeah.
months ago. So, I think a great buy low candidate, but you have to imagine everyone also knows that he is a great buy low
Yeah.
candidate. You know,
Oft injured though, he might be cheaper than one might think. But yeah, I don't
yeah,
know. Also, he
that's
looks like
exactly
Cillian
what
Murphy.
that's exactly what the Rays like, though. Is
Yeah.
low value or low perceived value, but great execution, and
Yeah.
they look like former Batman characters.
Yeah.
Um, Josh Reddick.
Josh Reddick. He played for the Savannah Bananas this year. I saw a video of it, and he made an amazing diving catch. And I think he won the game I think he walked off the game, or he maybe had a walk-off single or something in the game that he played in. Who did he play for before becoming a Savannah Banana? Is a phenomenal question. Obviously made his name he came up with the Bo Sox, made his name with the A's, and then ended his career with Houston. Did he play for a team after Houston? I am going to say he was he a Twin maybe? Where did he go? I'm going to say he ended his career with the Twins, and I don't know why that's in my head. I think I might just be making that up.
Well, you knew a surprisingly large amount about Josh Reddick to still get it wrong.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, he ended up with the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Oh my! Well, of course I
in
didn't know
20,
that. Yeah,
yeah, in 2021, he played in 54 games, getting 138 or
damn.
158 plate appearances.
All right.
Yeah, but you were right; it was Houston right before that.
Okay.
He spent several years there.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Alex Kirilloff.
Alex Kirilloff. There's a twin for you. He is I think he's washed out. Boo. Outfielder for the Twins. I thought he was going to be a little more than he was.
Well, he got hurt.
Soft.
And he missed a lot of time. I'm going to show you this card. Look at that. Look
Oh,
how shiny that is.
Hold on to that one.
Yeah, it says
I like Larnick over Kirilloff.
Yeah. New generation, this card says, and it's all nice and shiny.
Wow.
Wow.
I can't believe you unpackaged it. You've devalued
I know.
it.
Well, you have to unpackage it to know what it is.
Fool.
All right, we're getting through this. Here's a fun one. Patrick Wisdom.
What a handsome, what a jawline is really what I mean to say.
Yeah.
Third baseman for your Chicago Cubbies.
Yeah, what a interesting story.
I know. Good
Do you feel
defender,
like the
power hitter. Say what?
Yeah. Do you feel like the Cardinals whiffed on him? Is he one of those, or is it just like, did the Cubs pick up on something? Like, he doesn't get talked about as much when we talk about these guys who are like doing really well for other teams that were former Cardinals.
I mean, is he that good though? I don't think he's that good. Like, there's so much swing and miss in his game. I mean, am I missing something? Like, his glove is pretty solid. He strikes out like crazy. Obviously, there's power there. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking up. He had a 102 OPS plus last year with a plus glove, and 183 strikeouts. I think that he is a replacement level major league player, and I think
Perfect for the Cubs.
Yeah. Like, how many teams is he even starting for? So no,
that's fair.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. How about Mauricio Dubon?
I am. Ooh. I'm not positive, so I'm just going to act confident. I believe he is a outfielder for the Giants.
Yes. So his card has him as second base or outfield. So I'll give it to you.
All right.
And yeah, Mauricio Dubon, born in Honduras, where he was a neighborhood soccer star.
Hey, well, he's a real life United States baseball star. So, I mean, I guess not a star.
I think he peaked on the soccer field. Christian Javier.
Christian Javier, World Series winning Christian Javier as a starting pitcher for the Houston Astros, my friend.
That is correct. Breakout year.
Yeah, very good. Very good. That fastball.
Yeah, he looks great.
People like the fastball. Everyone's talking about it.
Stupid, sexy Astros. All right. Ernie Clement.
Ernie Clement. Good name. Sounds like a baseball player
name.
for sure. Don't know him. So I'm going to guess that he is a relief pitcher for the Angels.
Wrong and wrong. Here, let me read you the back of the card.
All right.
A polished hitter who rarely strikes out, Ernie impressed the Cleveland staff at the alternate training site and instructional league last year. He debuted as a pinch hitter in June 13th before collecting his initial knock 2 days later. So he is a second base / third base for the Cleveland Guardians.
Is he a big leaguer?
He made his debut on June 13th before collecting his initial knock 2 days later.
So technically, he's got 110 big league games. He's a big leaguer. Sorry, Ernie. Yeah. He has he has gathered a negative 0.6 WAR.
Ooh, no. To be fair,
hot stuff.
To you at least, I also had I did not know his name at all.
He is apparently now an Oakland Athletic.
Okay. That classic Guardians to Athletics pipeline.
Yeah.
Jacob Stallings.
Jacob Stallings, Gold Glove catcher for the Miami Marlins. I like Jacob Stallings.
No player provides more big hits or offers more leadership to the Pirates than Jacob.
Well, he was a Pirate last year, my friend, but no longer.
Yep.
Guided Sandy Alcantara to that insane season.
He good. And finally, this one has the Future Stars logo running across it.
No way I won't know this person.
Brian Hayes.
Hey, there we go. Robbed. Gold Glove robbed from him. The starting...
Some chump got it instead of him.
Starting third baseman for your Pittsburgh Pirates. And also
very
a baller.
Good.
I love Key Brian.
Yeah, he's great. So you got most of these correct. Missed a couple.
Ernie Clement,
and then a couple. Yeah, and then a couple positions on some of the other ones. So you got 22 out of a possible 26 points.
I'll take that.
So I think you satiated the card shark.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. So it's not going to eat you this time, but it'll get you next time.
Yeah.
So congrats, I suppose.
Thank you, sir.
Well fought. So that'll do it for this episode. Thanks everyone for joining us. As always, again, consider checking out the Patreon. And we'll be back next week as always. Maybe we'll have some more Cardinal news. Maybe we'll do some more dumb shit. Probably a little bit of both. Let us know if you have ideas for topics or shows at Talk About Birds. So thanks again, everyone. Until next week, go John Mozeliak.
Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here anymore. Peace.